name is Linda, and I work at the Maricopa County Library District. And I'm here to show you what to do with this beautiful bunch of flowers that you got at the market or from somebody special. So, before we begin, let me talk to you about what you'll need. I was a floral designer for many years, and I don't use scissors or clippers to cut my stems. I use a knife. And florists generally use a knife, but let me talk about that for just a moment. When you use a knife, you're going to be using your thumb against the stem just to secure it. So you want to make sure that the blade starts pretty close to the handle. If you have like a steak knife, but the blade doesn't start until up here, it's a little more difficult to use. So a nice paring knife is perfect. Some people really like a good sized pocket knife that opened. So first of all, we need our knife, and then I want to talk to you about vases. I have here a variety of vases from my home. This is the standard one that you might get from a florist if you got a dozen roses delivered to you. And a lot of us have these in our homes, and then you could just plop this right in there and it would be a beautiful bouquet. But if you want to do something a little different this time, you could divide this into several vases, or you could use a short, stout vase and have a different bouquet that maybe you could see over at the table. You could use a couple of your little bud vases and maybe just use a single flower and scatter them around your home. And you can, if you don't have any of those, you could just use a jar. This is a little short mason jar. I've used a jar in this. These are artificial flowers, but you can see how cute that looks in a little mason jar. So if you don't have a great vase, maybe a glass jar, they look great as well. Before you get started, you're going to prepare your water. This little packet that comes with your flowers is really important. It's the floral preservative. All florists use floral preservative, and it does extend the life of your blossoms. So make sure you use that. Mix it according to the directions on the package. I'm going to set mine aside for now, but make sure that you prepare your water. Using my knife, I'm just going to pop that open. I'm going to show you how pretty this can look just right out of the package. So if I just took that and cut those stems off and plopped it right in there, it's quite pretty, isn't it? Okay, so this is perfectly acceptable at your home. It's quite beautiful. However, I want to make a bouquet in my pitcher. So I'm going to take these out. I'm going to lay them on the table like this. And then I'm going to look and see what I've got. Oh, look how pretty. They've given me a few pieces of goldenrod for my filler. That's so pretty. And I've got some different colors of mums. It is fall here right now, so we have a nice selection of fall flowers. We've got some of these pretty thistle-like flowers. All right, so I've got a few of those. More mums. And this beautiful protea. If you didn't know that that's the name of this, some people call it protea. And it is a tropical, I think Hawaiian flowers. And it's really special to have a protea in there. They've given me some protea greens as well. And I have 3 really pretty roses. So before I go, I'm going to trim my roses. Don't be afraid to do this. There's some little black and torn petals. I'm going to pull those off. They don't look pretty. There we go. That looks better. Just throw those away. This one looks pretty good. There's one blackened petal there. And let's look at this third one. Oh, that's a pretty thing. There we go. Now, my roses are all ready to go as well. So, before I begin, I'm going to kind of imagine how I want this to look. And because these flowers are growing the way they're growing, I'm going to start with those as my scaffolding in my vase, okay? So I'm gonna take my knife. Let's take a look at how I do this. My finger's not in the blade, in front of that blade at all. And I pull. See the arm is pulling? I'm not trying to saw it, and I'm not trying to bend it. I'm just pulling. And if you have a nice sharp knife, you should be able to do that. I need a little bit shorter. And what I just did with cutting, looking, cutting again, that's pretty typical for floral designers. Okay, so now I think I want to put in my protea. This is kind of my centerpiece of my whole bouquet. This one's a little bit more difficult to cut. And I did have to break it a little bit. I'm gonna put that in. Actually, I want that even shorter. And I do have another tool I'm gonna use on this one because of the woody stem. I'm gonna pull out my clippers. Which I don't use very often. There we go. And I'm gonna set that kind of like that. Now I'm gonna go in and I'll go around these flowers with my we call these pom-poms. They are mums, chrysanthemums. Something to pay attention to when you are doing floral design is leaves in the water. If you have any leaves in your water, they're going to degrade and it'll smell and it will rot. So that's where a lot of the smell comes from. If you have some old flowers, it's the material, the green material that's down in the water that's going to start becoming putrid. So make sure you just strip all of those stems of any sort of leaves as you're going. Remember, I'm pulling and then I just toss. So now, as I'm working, I'm going to turn this around so I can see it from all sides. And I am just pushing those stems. Notice how I'm crisscrossing them in there. And I'm pushing them down into the water. That's the other thing. Don't have anything hanging above the water because it will quickly die. As you know, flowers need water. When I cut my stems, I cut them at an angle. You see that? The theory being that if it was flat, it would be like a straw sitting flat on the bottom of your milkshake cup. And if it's flat, it can't get the milkshake up into the straw. But if you have the angle, it will never be blocking and sitting flat on the bottom so that the stem can easily pull up the water. Okay, so I'm going to continue going around. I'm looking at trying to get an even number of the yellows dispersed around so that they're not all clumped in one area. If you want them clumped in one area, that's another design trick that people like, and you're welcome to do that too. Okay, so I'm going to keep going around and around, looking. I have a few of these. They look like the thistle pod before it bursts open to this. They're really interesting, aren't they? I like to add things like that that have a lot of interest. Yes, the stems go flying when you're doing floral design, okay? So I'm gonna keep going. Now, I'm gonna add my roses. Now in the olden days, we used to wire our roses to keep the heads upright, but we don't do that anymore. It's quite damaging to the flower, and they're very strong these days, so we don't feel like we have to do that like we used to. The roses tended to flop before they opened, and the whole idea of this is you want these roses to last well and to open, so we would wire them to keep them upright so they could draw water. Okay, how's this looking? Pretty good. I have one more. I'm gonna put that, I'm looking at my reds right now. I'm gonna put him over on this side here. There we go. So from any angle, that's pretty interesting, right? Now we're gonna go in there with our filler. And I'm gonna cut this a little bit lower so that it is peeking out. and it's not overwhelming all the beautiful flowers that we just put in there. See what I did there? I kind of put that in and then peeked it out. Now I'm going to put the other one on the other side because they only gave me 2, but they are very wide and pretty pieces. So we'll put that one on this side. Again, cutting, measuring, cutting. Get that one on this side. I like that. Oh, that looks really pretty. And lastly, we have these very nice protea greens, I guess, or maybe they're just immature flowers, but I need to get my clippers out for those because again, they are very woody. And now I'm just gonna put those in some of the little gaps that need a little extra. Right in the middle of that filler. And I probably will put the last one right at the top. Notice how I keep stripping those greens. Don't want those in my water, so important. I'm going to take that down just a little bit more. There we go. And there you have it, a really pretty bouquet for your table. I'm going to clean this up and then we'll talk about another way to make a bouquet. Okay, so in this method, I would start fresh. And I would take these flowers again and lay them out like we did the first time. And this time I'm going to start with this protea. And I'm going to think, how tall am I going to want this? I just want a short, pretty thing in this one, a whole different way. But the idea on this is we're going to be working as a spiral. So all my stems are going to go in a spiral shape. Okay, so I got my protea and I've got my filler. And the stems, I'm going to make them go clockwise. Okay, so I'm going to come around. I don't know if you can see, but I'm making this clockwise. Again, being very mindful of the leaves because we don't want those in our water. All right, so here it is. Here's my bouquet. I've used almost everything. I'm going to take out all these extra leaves. And then I have some wire that I'm going to use. I'm going to hold it with my thumb, pointing down, and then I'm going to wrap it around here 4 times. Not too tight because these flowers have to be able to drink, and if you bend them, they're not going to be able to do that. Then I'm going to take my wire around 1 and pull that right back up, and I'm going to cut that off. So where I was holding it is now wired together. Okay? Now, I see the loose end was a little loose, so I'm going to put that under the other stem. Okay, now I'm going to cut this for my vase, and I'm just going to eye this up for the beginning. I want them all to be the same. And again, I'm using those clippers, which I don't use very often. Okay. And my bouquet should stand on its own. There we go. And it does. Now I'm going to plop that right in. Sure, I still have a couple greens there I'm not liking. And there you have it. Tight little bouquet. So that's the second way you can use your flowers. So with this bouquet on your table, you'll be able to see the people across the table from you. The other one is nice. It makes a lot of impact as well, but you couldn't put that between people at the dinner table, could you? All right. Remember that you can pull out one of these flowers and just put it in a vase. So many things you can do with your flowers. I hope you enjoy them. Thank you for joining me today to learn how to make a beautiful bouquet from your flowers from the market.